We are clearly in the midst of the slowest and weakest recovery in the post-war era, notwithstanding what we have observed to be the largest fiscal and monetary stimulus in our nation's history. Although one quarter a trend does not make, having negative economic growth in the last quarter was not good news. Otherwise, we appear to be mired in 1.5% to 2% economic growth when 3% is the norm and clearly 4% is the potential. This translates into millions of lost jobs and hundreds of billions of dollars of lost revenue to the Treasury. But beyond the numbers, we have to look at the people. I look at my constituents. I listen to them. They're concerned about how are they going to fill up their pickup trucks? How are they going to afford groceries? Their health care premiums have gone up. They are insecure in their paychecks. They are not getting ahead.
Roughly, we spend about, what, $225 billion a year to service our $16.5 trillion in debt. Is that right? Roughly?
Sounds about right.
Okay, and per the CBO, for every additional point that our interest rates go up, it costs us an additional $100 billion a year to service the debt. Does that sound right?
Yes.
So if you stop with your accommodative monetary policy, we could see interest rates rise, 2, 3%, right? So we'd have an additional $200 to $300 billion of additional dollars going to service our current debt. Fair to say?
That's right. CBO takes this into account in their projections.
And so, for me, I look at that and say, listen, this is $500 billion a year to service our current debt, $5 trillion over 10 years. I look at this and, I see the lights going off, the sirens are blaring, and I'm almost setting a proverbial can on my counter, and you're kicking it, saying, listen, don't worry about $85 billion in cuts. Do it a different day. I listen to what you're saying, and I think you're giving cover to a set of policies that aren't responsible. And we're all going to pay the price for the fiscal irresponsibility. And instead of encouraging responsibility, you come in and say, listen, to cut 2% of our budget, you can't do it. It's going to have a great impact on our economy. That, Mr. Chairman, that doesn't make sense to me.
There seems to be, towards that end, the benefits, a lot of evidence out there that the benefits of the low interest rate and quantitative easing are accruing primarily to the federal government, foreign governments, and large banks.
My other question is on seniors. Many of us are in that sandwich generation trying to help our parents, and our parents are doing a pretty good job trying to help themselves, but they're relying on their good planning and investments if they've been lucky enough to invest. And the dividend and interest availabilities to them are crushing our seniors as they see their health care costs go up. And some of the policies that you've put forward, I think, and that the Fed has caused concern for those of us who are concerned about seniors who don't have the ability to get another job, that's played out for them.
I'm sure you're familiar with Milton Friedman's work that says that people only really consume off of their permanent income, which basically means that you don't consume increased consumption because your stocks have gone up in the marketplace. And to that point, I know Ms. Capito asked a question as to what seniors should do in this indication, and you said, well, take it out of some fixed assets and put it into the stock market. Heaven forbid, but my 90-year-old mother would take her money out of fixed markets and put it in the stock market. I think that's probably the worst advice that's out there.
Would you put all your money, just so you get the full benefit of zero interest rate, why don't you put all of your money in savings accounts? Because many of these people are unsophisticated investors, like Chairman Garrett suggested. They're not comfortable. They don't know all these risky things. They see Wall Street and they see all the derivatives and all this jazz that got everybody hyped up and cost us several $1 trillion to pay back those people who took those risks. But they don't buy it. And they're furious with the government. They say, we lived our life right. We paid off our homes. We put money into the bank. We had a nest egg that was sufficient at the going rate of interest, and now our government is bragging that we have zero interest, and we are being punished after living our lives correctly.
Chairman Bernanke told us today exactly what he's told us for the last 5 years. And he's told us to focus on long-term structural changes to our mandatory spending programs, most of which entitlements. And that ought to be our focus. And he said that today, and he said that it will have a beneficial effect, a long-term beneficial effect. It will not retard economic recovery.
Isn't the Fed the great enabler of our debt? I mean, I understand Congress and the President make fiscal policy, but isn't the Fed's policy, in essence, masking the true cost of our debt?
If my 18-year-old daughter was spending 40% more than what my husband and I were giving her, and she didn't do that just this month, but she did it next month and the next month and the next month. And finally, my husband and I said, we're just not going to bail you out anymore. We're just not going to continue to finance that overspending that you're doing. And she said to me, Mother, we need to align our solution with the problem. In other words, you need to keep giving me that money because it's really not a problem yet. I would say, I think you have a problem today.